Yeah, Taoiseach, just to continue the earlier discussion, you see, the welfare of workers is an economic question and an economic imperative. And your response on Debenhams, or indeed on the possibility that we will have another Debenhams unfolding as we speak with the Arcadia workers, who will be, by the way, I believe, protesting outside the Dáil early next week, because they face, unless they get bought out, they're facing liquidation as well, and the possibility that a 2+2 contractual agreement they had with the Arcadia group will disappear and they'll be looking for statutory from the state. Now, the point here is, Taoiseach, that we would not be in this situation if government had realised, after Cleary's, after Vita Cortex, after Licenza, that this stuff had to stop, and that workers could not be left at the bottom of the queue when it comes to the distribution of assets of companies that go into liquidation, and that honouring redundancy arrangements and just entitlement for people who'd worked for years is an imperative for government. Right? The government has failed to do that. Not primarily your government, as it happens, Fine Gael Labour government. But you're now in government and you have a responsibility. And what I think you should say is, we're going to sort this out because government should have sorted it out, and then we'll address the situation going forward to make sure it never happens again.
Thank you, Deputy. Deputy Mary Lou MacDonald.
And in terms of the Debenham workers, which has been raised, and the Arcadia workers, it's the state actually that is through taxpayers' funds and through the social insurance fund, that is the one actor in all of this that has stood the test of time and never fails to come forward to support workers through the statutory redundancy. Millions have been spent out in terms of Debenhams by the state. Whatever system is devised cannot allow rogue employers to get away with it either. And the Cleary's model would not apply here to Debenhams or to Arcadia. There's different issues there. But I think the employers have responsibilities too, is the point I would make. And the state can't be picking up the pieces of all sorts of employers who may do things and who may not do things. Some employers legitimately, by the way, get into liquidation situations because of market conditions. And in some cases, liquidation can be beyond anybody's fault in some instances. Because of changing economic models, because of what's happening up in the market. And retail is going through a fairly rough time now. The combination of COVID and some of the lockdowns, but also the growth of online trading is having an impact on on-street trading. And that is a challenge facing us in the months and indeed in the years ahead. And the review of company law has been underway. And I would be hoping that the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment will have that completed shortly, and certainly in advance of the next Dáil session. And in terms of the full impact assessment of CETA, again, non-tariff barriers, the removal of those will have benefits because it just creates opportunities for Irish companies to gain an easier access to the Canadian market, and vice versa. As well. And, countries are queuing up to have a trading relationship with the European Union. Japan, no one questioned the Japan deal, for example. Australia wants to conclude a deal with the European Union because they see the benefits of having access to such a large market with good rigour and high standards and certainty and stability that the European Union market offers to partners who wish to trade with Europe. And likewise, again, we have no issue in terms of the debate to outline all of those assessments and those impacts of such a deal. But I just find it interesting that the Deputy's position and Sinn Féin's position and the far left's position is one of antagonism, antipathy towards trade deals more generally. And this is something that's gone on for years. You rarely, and I just speak from someone who believes. No, I speak as someone who believes in enterprise and believes in trade, believes in creating jobs. It's the tradition I've come from, as well as strong investment in public services, by the way. And I was reminded of this watching Sean Lemass's speech in 1965, and he was removing trade barriers, and he could see ahead as a precursor to joining the common market. He was predicting then about we joining the common market 7 or 8 years beforehand. That's the kind of vision that's required. Not this consistently undermining of anybody involved in enterprise, which is the order of the day from some deputies in the House.
Thank you,